Hello viewers, today we shall be discussing further amendments which has happened post 2004 to the Consumer Protection Act 1986. This is in continuation with our earlier discussion in the previous programs. The Consumer Protection Councils have been divided into three phases: the National Commission, the State Commission and the District Forums. The Central Consumer Protection Council. The central government shall by notification establish with effect from such date as it may specify in such notification a council to be known as the Central Consumer Protection Council. The Central Council shall consist of the following members. Now, this has been constituted with effect from a certain date which has been notified by the central government, and it shall consist of the number of members which are discussed in the next slide. Firstly, it will consist of a chairman, that shall be 1 in number, and such number of other officials or non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed. Now, let us try to know about the procedure for meetings of the Central Council. The Central Council shall meet as and when necessary, but 2 meetings, that is at least 1 meeting of the Council shall be held every year. The Central Council shall meet at such time and place as the chairman may think fit, and shall observe such procedure in regard to the transaction of its businesses as may be prescribed. Therefore, at least 2 meetings should be held in a year, out of which 1 meeting is absolutely necessary. Secondly, the time and place will be at the discretion of the chairman of the meeting. Now, let us know about the objectives of Central Council. Its main aim should be to promote and protect the interest and rights of the consumers. The rights of the consumers can be listed as below. First is right to be protected against hazardous goods. Second, right to be informed. Third, right to be assured. Fourth, right to be heard. Fifth, right to seek redressal. And sixth, right for consumer education. Therefore, all these rights which are available to the consumer generally will be protected by the Central Council for the protection of consumers. Now, let us discuss the State Consumer Protection Council, which is close to the heels of the National Consumer Protection Council. The basic idea and the structure and the basic idea, the structure and the objectives of the council will be same, but the level will be at the state level. Firstly, the state government shall by notification establish with effect from such date as it may specify in such notification a council to be known as the Consumer Protection Council. The State Council shall consist of the following members, namely the Minister in charge of Consumer Affairs in the state government, who shall be its chairman. Secondly, such number of other official or non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed by the state government. Such number of other officials or non-official members not exceeding 10 as may be nominated by the central government. Therefore, the structure would broadly consist of: first is the chairman, who shall be the person in charge of all the affairs. Second would be such number of official or non-official members. The number will be prescribed by the state government, and also such other officials which can be prescribed by the central government, but the number shall not exceed more than 10. Thirdly, the State Council shall meet as and when necessary, but not less than 2 meetings shall be held every year. So, the total number of meetings that shall be conducted by the State Council shall be 2. Now, let us try to know about the objectives of the State Consumer Protection Council. The objects of every state council shall be to promote and protect within the state the rights of the consumers laid down in clauses A to F of section 6. Now, let us try to know more about that. The District Consumer Protection Council, the state government shall establish for every district by notification a council to be known as the District Consumer Protection Council with effect from such date as it may specify in such a notification. The District Consumer Protection Council, which is hereinafter referred to as the District Council, shall consist of the following number of members. First would be the collector of the district by whatever name it is called in that district, who shall be its chairman, and such number of official and non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed by the state government. So, the third tier of consumer protection is the district council, which is generally called as the District Consumer Protection Council, and it shall consist of namely two kinds of member. First would be the head, that is the collector of this particular district by whatever name he is called, and such number of official and non-official members which will be prescribed by the state government. The district council shall be meeting as and when necessary, but not less than 2 meetings shall be held every year. The district council shall meet at such time and place within the district as the chairman may think fit, and shall observe such procedure in regard to the transaction of its business as may be prescribed by the state government. The total number of meetings which are minimally prescribed for the district council is 2, and it will be required to meet as per the requirements of the state government, that is, it shall be decided by the collector, but according to the instructions of the state government. Now, let us try to know about the objects of the district council. The object of every district council shall be to promote and protect within the district the rights of the consumers which have been laid down from clauses A to F of the section. Consumer dispute redressal agencies. These can be called as the fourth tier to the consumer protection mechanism that is followed under the Consumer Protection Act 1986. These are the agencies which further the object of the district councils which have been established by the state government. The district forum, which is established by the state government in each district of the state by notification. Second would be the state commission, which is established by the state government in the state by notification. National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, established by the central government by notification. So, these three agencies are there which further the objective of the consumer protection. Now, let us try to know about the redressal mechanism. Consumer Dispute Redressal Forum, which is there. Each consumer redressal forum shall be consisting of number 1, a person who is or has been or is qualified to be a district judge, who shall be its president. Therefore, the consumer redressal forum shall be headed by an ex-judge who shall be the president. Second is 2 other members, one of whom shall be a woman who shall have the following qualification. She shall be not less than 35 years of age, possess a bachelor's degree from a recognized university. Thirdly, be a person of ability, integrity and standing, and have adequate knowledge and experience of at least 10 years dealing in problems related to economics, law, commerce, accountancy, industry, public affairs or administration. Further, a person is disqualified for appointment as a member if he has been convicted and sentenced to imprisonment for an offence which in the opinion of the state government involves moral turpitude. All these changes have occurred because of the amendment to the Act in 2003. Therefore, the clause relating to the addition of a member who shall be a woman and a person of at least 35 years of age with a certain qualification relating to experience and knowledge, all these changes have been added, and thereby it has been made mandatory to have at least one woman in the council. Now, let us know about the other requirements. Is an undischarged insolvent or is of unsound mind and stands so declared by a competent court or has been removed or dismissed from the service of the government or a body corporate owned or controlled by the government, or he has, in the opinion of the state government, such financial or other interest as is likely to affect prejudicially the discharge by him of his functions as a member, or has such other disqualifications as may be prescribed by the government. So, after having all those qualifications, it should be ensured that the member is not suffering from any of the disqualifications which have been cited from A to F, which we have just discussed. Mainly the first one being he should not be convicted or sentenced to imprisonment, then he should not be an undischarged insolvent or a person of unsound mind, he should not be removed or dismissed from the service of government, he should not have any kind of pecuniary or financial interest in the discharge of his functions, or he should not have any other disqualifications which have been prescribed time to time by the state government. Now, let us try to know about the jurisdiction for the amount of relief that has to be claimed by the consumer. If the relief or claim or services where the value of the goods or services and the compensation which is claimed does not exceed rupees 20 lakhs, then the district forum shall be entertaining the complaint. When the value of the goods and services or compensation is rupees 20 lakhs and above, but does not exceed 1 crore, then the complaint will be entertained by the State Commission. If the value of the goods or services or compensation is above 1 crore, then the National Commission shall be hearing the complaint. Besides, the State and National Commission have appellate jurisdiction also. Therefore, whatever cases have been heard by the lower courts can be appealed against to the higher courts, and thereby the State and National Commissions shall also be the appellate body. Now, let us know about the filing of complaints and the criteria for application. The fee for filing the complaint for the district forum is as under. Number 1 being, if the value of the goods and services and the compensation is up to rupees 1 lakh rupees, then the amount of fees which shall be payable by the complainant is rupees 100. If the value of the goods and services and compensation is rupees 1 lakh and above, but less than rupees 5 lakhs, then rupees 200 shall be the amount of fees. If the value of goods and services and compensation is rupees 5 lakhs and above, but less than 10 lakhs, then the amount of fees is rupees 400. When it is 10 lakhs and above, but less than 20 lakhs, then the amount of fees shall be rupees 500. This fees needs to be paid by a crossed check or a demand draft on a nationalized bank or through a crossed Indian postal order drawn in favor of the registrar of the State Commission and payable at the place of the State Commission with effect from 5th of March 2004. The complainant can present his or her complaint in person or by his or her authorized representative to the district forum or State Commission. There is no requirement for a lawyer or consumer group to represent the complainant. Therefore, it is required that the complainant can very easily file his complaint to the respective forum or commission without needing the help of any support groups or any consumer forums or a lawyer to represent his complaint. Now, let us try to know about the consumer redressal under the district forums. Firstly, the complaint relating to goods. References of sample to laboratory where the complainant alleges a defect in the goods which cannot be determined without proper analysis or test of goods. Second is the deposit of fees. That means the complainant is required to get the analysis done through the laboratory and then submit the report for his complaint. Third is remission of fees to laboratory and forwarding of report to opposite party. Fourth, objections by any of the parties. Reasonable opportunities to parties of being heard and issue of order. So, the entire procedure is first to get the analysis or testing done through the laboratory. The report will be got after the payment of fees. The remission of fees to the laboratory shall be done, and if any of the parties have a conflict or objections relating to the report, the same shall be submitted. After employing an reasonable opportunity of being heard, the order shall be issued. Now, let us try to know about the complaint which will be related to services. Earlier we did the complaint relating to goods. The procedure related to services will be a little different. First will be reference of the claim to opposite party. Second, denial etc. of allegation by the opposite party. Settlement of disputes, proceedings of the district forum which shall be final, death of the complainant and the period. The entire procedure for complaint relating to services because of faulty services could be firstly the reference relating to the claim of the opposite party shall be made. If the opposite party denies the allegation, then the same shall be submitted. There will be a settlement of the disputes and the proceedings which have been done by the district forum shall be considered as final. In case of the death of the complainant, a submission period will be extended and relief will be granted. Now, consumer redressal under the state commission. Firstly, we have to know about the jurisdiction under which the state commission shall be acting. Second is the transfer of the cases, circuit benches, procedure, appeal and the hearing of appeal. These entire points summarize the procedure in which the whole appeal shall be heard and disposed. Consumer redressal under the National Commission. Firstly, the place of the National Commission of India. We have to try to know the jurisdiction under which the case shall fall. Earlier we had discussed about the jurisdiction in a tabular form for the amount of goods or services. According to that, the jurisdiction shall be decided. Thirdly is the appeal. Then is the finality of order which will be given by the National Commission. Enforcement of the orders of the district forum, the state commission or the National Commission, and dismissal of frivolous or vexatious complaints. So, once the jurisdiction has been decided according to the value of the goods and services, the appeal shall be heard. Whatever is decided by the National Commission shall be considered as final. The orders shall be enforced according to the jurisdiction, whether it will be done by the district forum, state commission or National Commission. In case the complaint is found to be frivolous or vexatious, that is merely for reason of getting to know the result or order, but the consumer is actually not affected. So, in case such a complaint is found, it will be outrightly rejected. Now, let us try to know about the rights of the consumers. The rights of the consumers are right to safety, right to be informed, right to choose, right to be heard, right to seek redressal, right to consumer education. We shall be discussing all these rights in detail one by one. First is the right to safety. A consumer ought to be protected against the marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. This is applicable to specific areas like the healthcare, pharmaceutical and food processing. Right to be informed. The right to be informed about the quality, quantity, purity, standard and price of goods or services so as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices. That is, whatever the consumer is paying for the particular goods or services, he should be getting in totality what he has actually paid for. So, information should be there plus discharge of the same quantity, potency, etc. of the goods or services should be done. Next is the right to choose. The right to be assured wherever possible to have access to a variety of goods and services at competitive prices. Right to be heard. The right to be heard has to be assured that consumers' interest will be received due consideration at appropriate forums. So, in case the consumer has access to wide variety of goods and services, then he can exercise his right to choose rather being forced to buy only one kind of services or goods in a monopolistic environment. Secondly, in case he has suffered or he has a grievance, then there should be appropriate mechanism and support for hearing and entertaining his appeal. Next is right to seek redressal. The right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or restrictive trade practices or exploitation of consumers is referred to as the right to redressal. Right to consumer education. The right of every Indian citizen to have education on matters regarding consumer protection as well as about her or his right is regarded as the last right provided by the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Therefore, once he has filed his appeal, he should get an apt redressal to his appeal and he should get equal justice. Secondly, he should be updated and informed, and hence there is a right to consumer education. Now, let us try to know about the approach for redressal. The consumers can approach the commissions at these three levels, firstly being the district commission, second is the state commission and then the national commission. There is no court fees which is charged to the consumers and they do not have to go and get their appeals answered through the lawyers. Now, let us study the regards to complaint. The consumer can file a case under Consumer Protection Act 1986 only if the following are the issues. Firstly, he has suffered a loss or damage as a result of any unfair trade practice adopted by any trader. The goods and services mentioned in the complaint suffer from one or more defects. A trader has charged for the goods mentioned in the complaint a price in excess of the price which is fixed by law, displayed on the goods or displayed on any packet containing such goods. Let us talk about the consumer groups which help out a consumer in filing the complaints. Consumer organizations are advocacy groups that seek to protect people from corporate abuse like unsafe products, predatory lending, false advertising and pollution. Consumer organizations may operate via protest, campaigning or lobbying. The establishment of the consumer groups. Some of the functions of consumer groups are educating consumer rights, creating awareness through publishing laboratory tests of goods and services in newspapers, filing a complaint on behalf of the consumers or the group of consumers, providing guidance to consumers against hazardous goods and services. So, all these consumer groups bring about awareness to all the consumers who are consuming the products at large if the products are found to be hazardous, unhealthy or they are suffering from any kind of other defects, then the same is brought to the notice of the consumers. The prominent consumer groups in India are CGSI, that is Consumer Group Society of India, MGP, that is Mumbai Grahak Panchayat, CUTS, that is Consumer Unity and Trust Society, Voice, voluntary organization in the interest of consumer education. Thus, it brings us to the conclusion that a consumer is not alone and there are so many consumer groups to help him out. Also, there is a very sound system of the Consumer Protection Act and the procedures which have been prescribed under the Act of 1986. In our session today, we had studied about the three-tier system of Consumer Protection Council. Also, we came to know about the various jurisdiction of the Consumer Protection Council. We also studied about the consumer rights and liabilities which are cast upon the consumer. We also studied about the consumer help groups or the consumer protection groups which are available for the help of consumers to help him lodge the complaint and bring about awareness. With this, we conclude our today's session. Thank you.